But I will tell you, in my entire career, 34 years, I have never been more convinced that this is the ultimate fate of the United States. We're too far down the rabbit hole. So when I beg people to own precious metals, and you do too, for me, it is not about becoming wealthy. It is wealth that has outlived everything the world has ever thrown at it. Everything, including world wars and hyperinflation and Great Depression and pandemics. And what we have coming this way will make all of that look pale in comparison from a monetary perspective. So,
welcome back, precious metals enthusiasts. Today, we dive into the heart of the global financial landscape with none other than Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin. From the roller coaster ride of silver prices to the strategic maneuvers of emerging economies and the pulse of the American financial landscape, we leave no stone unturned in this exclusive discussion. You won't want to miss a moment of this enlightening discussion. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's navigate the complexities of the global economy together with Andy Schectman.
When you fight a fight, as long as all of us have, it can make you angry. The counterintuitive nature of ask yourself, why would 4 or 5 commercial banks have the short positions, most of them naked in gold and silver the way that they do, which creates distortions in reality and creates a narrative that, gold and silver are just barbaric relics of the past when we know otherwise. And Bill and Chris know otherwise. And they have stood up not only to the counterintuitive nature, but to the naysayers and to the manipulation and all of the things that, I can understand why Bill gets the way he does or feels the way he does. But yeah, I think he's beginning to feel vindicated, and he's been right. How many people would have thought gold would hit $2,400 when he was writing and it was languishing at $400 and $500? And the same thing will be true about silver when it finally makes its move. And there's so many fundamentals that are growing by the day that you talk about all the time, and I try to talk about that will make that happen. But the one thing that I've learned along the way, is that the fundamentals that we see, the logic, if you will, sometimes has an inverse correlation with outcome, at least in terms of when we think it will. But in the end, when you base your conclusions upon mathematics and economics with a sprinkling of old school logic upon it, typically these things pan out. And we're beginning to see some of that right now. All along, I've been having to deal with whether it be people naysaying about the reasons to own precious metals, or even the people that we're hearing from, before I ever met you, before I ever spoke with you. And this is the reason why so few people will understand most of the people can't see what's coming at them, and therefore won't be able to get out of the way of what's coming, because on every single level, we have had to fight this battle. And it's now, maybe just now, for the first time in my career, where not only guys like you and I are getting our due recognition for sounding the alarm, but I think you're beginning to see an awakening, a little bit of an awakening by at least by the establishment, that gold and silver can't be ignored. Now, when you look at the public, on the other hand, the lack of participation by the public, even in the face of gold and silver going ballistic the way they have been, is shocking to me. And I agree. And in a way to do that, a lot, what started me really down this path was first the tier 1 revision of gold. And then second, the significance of the Belt Road Initiative. And if you study much about the Belt Road, it really dovetails like a hand in glove into the Belt Road, or into the BRICS rather. And, because of the infrastructure that is being set up, whether you're talking about everything that we mentioned already with GDP and military might and human population and natural resources and all of those things, but they've also done an amazing job in infrastructure in terms of roads and bridges and maritime channels and ways of industrializing parts of the world that never were industrialized, and doing it in a mutually cooperative way. And again, we talk about settlement, not in the dollar. When you talk about hundreds of trillions of dollars in settlement in other currencies, like I said, Brazil is now, China just canceled huge grain contracts with Australia and the United States, and they're buying them from Russia and paying for it in yuan, which is convertible into gold, which is what the tier one asset. And Brazil selling corn and soybeans to China, for yuan, convertible into gold, and all of these trades where even, China won a huge contract with Iran to modernize their biggest airport. They're paying for it in oil. All of these things used to settle in dollars. People are always blowing off and naysaying and poo-pooing and ignoring the little by little because it takes so long. And not only that, our media does no job of telling us it takes so long, but then they're blown away by the all at once, how fast it happens. But if you take a step back and look at the changes we've seen in the way that the United States is viewed globally, in the way that the dollar is now lacking in settlement for so many forms of commodities globally, the way that all of these exchanges and infrastructures and whether it be geographic infrastructures or monetary infrastructures are being set up, that when they flip the switch, the all at once will catch the world by surprise in a massive way. And, like I said, Richard Russell always said they have to inflate or die. The Fed, he said this 20 years ago. I've always said, well, find a villain. When you have Janet Yellen going around the world saying, we're going to sanction you, and you, yet we're able to do this stuff where we can invade Iraq 20 years ago, still occupy their country, still sanction 14 of their banks, destroy their country, and, bring in a new regime, and yet we're still there and controlling their oil revenue, where they made $95 billion in oil revenue last year, and a few months ago asked for $1 billion. We said it's not a good time. So they're kicking coalition forces out of the country. They are making trading in dollars illegal. If you own a business and do so, you'll go to jail. And they just formally applied to the BRICS. So the world looks at us as being hypocritical as hell, but yet we can say, you can do this. If you wanted to be the world. And by the way, let's not forget Jared Bernstein, the lead economic advisor of the United States government. Google Jared Bernstein dethroned King Dollar. This is a man who's written reports on the U.S. dollar world reserve currency is a privilege we can no longer afford. We should shed it. Well, let's weaponize the dollar. Let's sign an executive order to go green, which is the linchpin of the hegemony. We'll weaponize the dollar, making everyone in the Southern Hemisphere never trust us again. We'll destabilize the crap out of our country, create massive divisiveness. We're not united anymore. We're black, white, red, blue, rich, poor, immigrant, you name it. We let 12 million people here in illegally. We're already insolvent in terms of our debt to GDP. We're broke. Who's going to pay for these people? How about if 1% of them want to do something dangerous to the United States? Yesterday on the news, there are groups of people saying death to the United States, in the United States, having meetings, chanting death to the U.S., death to the U.S. And we let these people in and we think that's okay. I think people look at the United States, what once was considered a beacon of hope and liberty and freedom and justice, where people sail across an ocean on inner tubes tied together with strings, or walk from Central America across the border, not in droves of millions, but onesie twosie, to find a better life. And they get here, and this is what they see. I played golf yesterday with a man who was from Morocco. And he said, I didn't move here for this shit. He said, when I came here in 2005, it was an amazing place. And now I look around me and I wonder where the hell I am. I want to leave. It's the same argument I've been saying for 3-4 years. And I don't care if I'm redundant. What continues to happen to support this ideology, you can't make up. And I think people need to understand that it's like we're going down the river and the falls are up ahead. That all at once moment is coming. And the naysayers and the dollar bulls and the people who are just, recency biased, individuals will not see this for what it is. But I will tell you, in my entire career, 34 years, I have never been more convinced that this is the ultimate fate of the United States. We're too far down the rabbit hole. So when I beg people to own precious metals, and you do too, for me, it is not about becoming wealthy. It is wealth that has outlived everything the world has ever thrown at it. Everything, including world wars and hyperinflation and Great Depression and pandemics. And what we have coming this way will make all of that look pale in comparison from a monetary perspective. So, I love you for letting me ramble. I love you for letting me say this stuff. to an audience also, not just you're very famous here in the United States, but I know you have exposure around the world. And I hope people can hear this coming from someone who was the least likely person to have ever succeeded, and the opportunities that I was given in this country, which I thank God every day for the United States.
And there you have it, folks. Another enlightening discussion with Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin, comes to a close. But before we part ways, let's recap the key takeaways from today's deep dive into silver, BRICS currencies, and the USA's economic landscape. Stay connected with us for more expert analyses, market updates, and exclusive interviews. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the latest content from Andy Schectman and other experts. Thank you for tuning in today. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and may your investments shine bright like silver.